You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. HRN is food radio supported by you. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org. Fire Within is the only company that offers a complete turnkey mobile pizza business model, professional education, purposefully designed trailers, and the finest selection of commercial-grade wood-fired pizza ovens. Offering intensive courses on wood-fired pizza through Wood-Fired University and personalized designs to capture your business's identity, Fire Within provides community, professional support, and comprehensive education. Fire Within also offers an award-winning publication dissecting franchises and franchising models and business plans, hands-on intensive training to get your business up to speed as quickly as possible, and the perfect trailer or truck based on your specific business model. Fire Within's goal is to inspire a new generation of pizzaioli across the United States. Learn more at firewithin.com. This is Peter Reinhardt, and this is Pizza Quest, and I am at the International Pizza Expo in Las Vegas. The day before the show actually starts, I'm standing here with Nicky Giusto of Central Milling, who is making dough for tomorrow. Because you're not open yet to the public.
Nope.
And there's no public here yet, but there's a lot of people setting up their booths, and you are mixing dough. So
Yes,
what is it that you're making?
I'm making a sprouted grain focaccia alla romana.
Focaccia alla Romana. If
Yep.
I'm not mistaken, you have a focaccia recipe in the Pizza Quest book.
Yeah.
Is this the same focaccia?
It sure is.
Right, so-
The one and
So
only.
why do you call it alla Romano?
Because it's a Roman-style dough, kind of a long rectangular dough that's kind of pushed out before it goes into the
Last time you
oven.
called it a slab.
Yeah, it's like a slab. You know, it depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah,
Most people
right.
don't understand
It's
what a
all
focaccia alla...
terminology.
Yeah, it's just a name, but it sounds so romantic, alla
Yeah,
romana.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, you put an Italian accent on it, and it's gonna be popular.
Yeah,
So
and I call it focaccia because it kind of it's kind of in between. It's not quite focaccia and it's not quite pizza alla romana. It's something in between, and it's it's a hybrid of sorts. And most of the breads that I do and the doughs that I do are hybrids of things. They're influences of this and that, and I love that about bread because you can get creative with it. I don't need to stick to a specific style.
exactly, but you're also one of the things that you can do that nobody else really does is you can introduce ingredients that you carry. Central Milling has every possible ingredient, including sprouted grain. Are you
Yep.
using any sprouted grain?
I sure am. Yeah, about 30% of the dough is dough weight is sprouted grain.
Sprouted wheat.
Yeah, sprouted wheat
Wow.
in the living sprouted
Yeah,
mash. in the
not
mash
the
form.
flour, but the actual mash.
Yes, yep.
And you still make that available to other clients and stuff, right?
Correct.
People buy
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
So
Through distribution. And
So
things
you
like
know,
that, yeah.
you've been, of course, the Central Milling has been doing sprouted grain from the beginning, but it goes all the way back to the Giusto Vita grain era of the 1940s and 50s that your great-grandfather, maybe great-grandfather,
Great-grandfather.
founded,
Mhm.
and then you and your Uncle Keith have taken it into Central Milling and brought back a great bread. I think maybe a better sprouted version of bread than what's on the shelves everywhere. But
Yeah,
you're not
so-
making the bread. You're just teaching other people how to do it.
Exactly, how to use it and what they can do with it. How they can, exercise with it of sorts. All the different applications. I mean, everything from, quick bread formulas, scones, muffins, things like that, to croissant, laminated doughs, to artisan breads, to pizza applications, bagels, you name it. There's a
Use
run
it,
for
yeah,
it.
and it's something that very few bakers know how to do yet, although more and more do. Now, the machine just stopped, so before I want to come back to the
Yep,
sprouted topic for a bit, but first, I can hear the machine mixing. I see a very nice, moist, wet dough.
Yes.
Is this the final dough now? You start your
Correct.
sponge, everything's already in there.
Everything's in there. So I have a little bit of levain in there. I have yeast as insurance policy.
Yeah, right.
A type 80 flour, which is a high extraction flour, and then the sprouted grain. And salt and olive oil.
And your hydration looks pretty wet, like somewhere like 80-90%.
It's about 88
88%.
roughly is what you do the math. But I just call it 85.
Okay,
It's
80. Well, that was a good
sure.
guess. Then
Yeah.
So and the reason I could say that is that it's much slacker than say baguette dough or
Yes.
regular bread dough.
Mhm.
It's soft and it's slacker than most pizza doughs. It falls in that rustic bread category like ciabatta.
Yes, it's
And
quite soupy.
And it's beautiful and it's mixing in the spiral mixer here.
Mhm.
How do you know when it's done?
When I have the development there, the proper development. I haven't mixed on this particular mixer yet, so I'm going by feel at the moment.
Yeah.
But tomorrow I'll have it dialed in with times.
This is
more
one of the
accurately.
things about these shows is that everybody is here is using other equipment that is brought in for
Yeah.
the show, not necessarily what you have at the Artisan Baking Center at Central Milling in Petaluma, where you got the equipment you wanted to have there.
Yeah,
So
correct.
this is you're learning how to use this machine. What about the oven? I see those.
Yes, and we used these at the IBIE show last year, and I've used these many times before. I love these mixers. I just haven't used this particular size of it. This is
these are
Empire.
Empire. They've been around for a long time.
Oh, they
They're
make
bigger,
some
yeah.
solid equipment.
Yeah.
So we have an oven and a 40.
Quart?
Yes, an Iris 40 mixer here is what we're using
It's a
here.
good sized mixer. And so you'll be making, well, this dough is one dough, but you're going to be making other products besides this. So
Correct.
you're making other doughs.
Yeah. So I'll be doing another hybrid dough of sorts.
Yeah.
I'm using 100% Durham flour.
Oh, Durham, which is like semolina type
Correct.
that we call semolina.
Yeah, but we'll grind that, mill that down more fine, so we call it extra fancy Durham. And that.
Yeah.
The dough will be 100% that. Have a super heavy sponge in. I'll be running 200% sponge to final dough, and it'll be kind of a pizza alla palla. So real. I'll push it out right at the end, right before it goes in. It's super airy, really bubbly, kind of like a larger version of a pinza.
Yeah.
That's
So
sort
when
of.
you say palla, that means it's baked in a pan, right?
No, on a
baked-
peel.
On a peel.
On a peel.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
alla
that would be
palla, on a peel.
On a peel.
Yeah.
And it gets kind of slides into the oven.
Correct. Yeah, and kind of do a little bit of a stretch on it as it comes out. Yeah.
It's kind of like what in Rome, the famous Antica Forno.
Correct.
Is
Yep.
famous for that.
Yeah.
I think they've called it pizza al planco also, which is I guess the Americanized version.
Yeah.
Palla.
There's so many different names for these
Well,
things.
that's the thing
It's
is
crazy.
that and by the time they come to America, then of course Americans have to make them their own. So we start to borrow from all over Italy.
Yep.
And then apply terminology to it. But what's unique, I think, about your product and why I love talking with you about it is that you're able to work with ingredients that not everybody else has, or they can get them, but they don't have them at their beck and call like you do.
That's correct. And especially when you're talking pizza applications, I think the promotion of dough of ingredients is pretty slim. It's a very narrow range of ingredients, but it's growing. More and more people are branching out into adding more whole grain to the dough, or different granulations to gain different types of texture, or using different varieties of wheat, or combining different things.
You see at the shows like this, you see the trends emerging. Like a couple of years ago, you wouldn't have seen all this, addition of whole grains, sprouted grains, artisan or heirloom grains, sourdoughs. I mean, and you got some sourdough and this, and again, that's a new trend. I mean, it's been around, but it's trending.
Yes,
but I guess the word.
Yes, yeah. Like 10 years ago at this show, we'd be the only ones doing, what somebody lovingly referred to, maybe lovingly, maybe not, I don't know, as a hippie dough.
Right.
We were doing hippie doughs here. Like we were like plugging in whole grain and making it real natural looking.
Hippie is back, man.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and you see a lot of people, more and more people incorporating it. But you have people like in Italy, like Gabriele Bonci, who's did a lot to promote adding more whole grain to his dough, and other bakers, famous pizzaiolos around there that are incorporating a little bit of whole grain, or using a type 1.
Type 1 is instead of a 00.
Yes, yeah.
Type
on
1
the
means it has more ash and more.
Correct.
Whole grain, more fiber.
Yeah.
So these are sort of new developments, and of course it takes an influencer like Bonci, who has become famous, to sometimes get other people to give it a try.
Yes.
Everybody else is waiting for somebody to do it first.
Yeah, and to promote it and make it beautiful, and and people always, they eat with their eyes on Instagram or some other avenue, and they're like, okay, I want to make that. But if somebody makes it gorgeous, then it'll catch on. It's just one of those things. Yeah.
And another cool thing that happens at the expo is there's competitions, and if somebody wins with a particular pizza,
correct,
everybody wants to copy them next year.
Yeah.
So this is how Detroit pizza kind of went from being a little Detroit secret pizza to being a national trend.
Yeah, that took off like a rocket ship.
That they started winning the competitions here with that style, and before you know it, everybody now is making Detroit style pizza.
Yep. Yeah.
So I see your wife Ariel's here, and she's prepping some ingredients for a pizza topping tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
In a few minutes, we're going to try to see if we can talk to her and find out where she's come, because I see her working with some shiitake mushrooms.
Oh yeah. We're
So what kind of dough do you put that on?
we're gonna put that one actually on this dough.
This dough.
Yeah, because the those umami flavors are gonna pair really nice with the slightly sour and slightly sweet, whole grainy nature of this dough. So we do some trials here and there at home and practice with it, and having the mushrooms on there, a little sesame, and another dough we're gonna have leek confit on, and we're gonna do a pea pesto, and we're gonna do a bunch of interesting things.
Wow, so it's a really cool topic ideas. But it's a 3-day show, so
Yep.
does that mean each day you're going to have to be making a new fresh dough for the next day?
Correct. Yes.
Working one day.
Yeah. And
But
this dough will bulk overnight, and then tomorrow morning I'll cut the dough up and stage it for baking.
will this dough here get you through the show tomorrow, or do you have to make another dough to supplement this one?
No, this will be enough. This and the alapala.
You already made that?
No, I haven't made that yet. I'll make the sponge for it, and I'll do a final mix on that tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow, okay,
Yeah.
because that one will have the sponge, so won't you?
Yeah.
So now you've been stopping and testing the dough as we've been going. How close do you think you are? Because we've been mixing. I've been standing here with you now for
We're
10,
almost
15
at
minutes.
12 minutes on speed 2, which is a lot. I mean,
It's a long mix, yeah.
Yeah, I made the mistake of putting a little too much water in too early, and so
So
in
it has
those
to
cases,
incorporate,
it always
yeah.
takes a long time to mix out.
So
but-
usually you like to add the water gradually
Yes,
and let it absorb as it goes.
yeah, I call it trickle hydration.
But it'll get there eventually. You just
It
have
will.
to give it more time.
Yeah,
But
it's
then do
patient.
you have to monitor dough temperature?
I do. I can feel it. The problem, or the good thing, is when the dough is this slack, the friction factor isn't there.
doesn't rise up.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it is there, but it takes a lot longer to increase a degree. So
How will you bulk this tonight? Will you do it in individual pieces, or will you just bulk the whole, the dough in tubs?
in bus tubs, yeah. So I'll divide this dough right here, which is about 18 kilos of dough, into two 9-kilo tubs. And then I'll go right into I'll give it a little bit of floor time, about a half hour, 45 minutes, give it a fold, and go right into the cooler with it overnight.
So and then tomorrow you'll shape it. and
Correct. Yeah.
everything.
Yep. Yeah. And you cut it. It's like a ciabatta treatment.
Yeah.
With it, where you lay it out, sheet it out, and then I just do it by eye. Really.
And for anybody who's made that kind of bread, who's listening, knows that's a wonderful dough to play with. It's fun to play with on the bench because it's so
airy, gassy.
It's just tactile,
Yeah.
fun to touch.
Yeah. And this one's takes that to the next level because you have the texture of the sprouted grain in there, and it just as a baker, feeling your dough, if you're into that, like I am and you are, it's just like, it's something very satisfying about touching that dough.
I'm a long time advocate and fan of the sprouted grain in any form. But why don't you tell us a little bit, because you guys have you built your business around as one of the ingredients that you supply the industry. What is it about sprouted grain that makes it important, and how should people use it? What are some tricks for how to use it properly?
Well, we think it's important because it unlocks the nutritional potential that the wheat berry has. The sprouting process reduces the phytic acid and makes all the B vitamin values available for your body to digest.
The phytic acid blocks those vitamins
Yeah,
being absorbed by the
yeah,
body.
it inhibits
That's
your
in whole
body.
grains,
Yeah.
So sprouting breaks that down.
Yeah, it breaks that down, yeah.
Before you even get to the dough.
Yeah. So you have that nutrient bomb of the whole grain available to get inside your body, which is fantastic. So that's the main reason. There's some other reasons too, like increasing fiber and so on.
I noticed
But
too that it tastes so much sweeter.
it's a lot sweeter, yeah. So you have a lot of conversion of the complex carbohydrate into simple sugars. So that's another reason why it's easier to digest. So your body just can take those simple sugars. It doesn't have to do that conversion, the carbohydrate conversion.
I find it really interesting because I always, when we're teaching bread making to our students, I always say, your mission as a baker is to evoke the full potential of flavor trapped in the grain. And we do that through understanding fermentation and things like that. But nature has done a lot of the unlocking of the flavor for you in the sprouting process.
Yeah.
Because you haven't even fermented this sprouted grain.
No.
And you're already getting maximum flavor out of it.
Yeah. And then once we add the levain to it and get those sour flavors and get even more breakdown, this just takes it to a whole nother level.
Is there any downside in terms of functionality when it's sprouted? Does the gluten get compromised or anything like that?
It does if you sprout it too far. I mean, you have to follow some rules. That's one of the tricks with our process, is that we want to maintain functionality but still have all the phytic acid breakdown, all the bioavailability of the vitamins. So there's a number we shoot for called a falling number during the sprouting process. As the grain is sitting there in our temperature controlled room, the legs growing on it. So we're constantly testing it. As soon as it hits a certain falling number, that's when we halt the sprouting process.
To get to the falling number, do you have to grind some of it into a flour and make like a dough from it?
Yeah, we make a mash of it and do a falling number test.
Drop like a rod in there. And,
Correct.
And how long it takes to fall through
Yep.
the dough, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
The falling number.
It's mysterious to most people, but bakers know what it means, and it's a pretty simple process once you understand. But it's so vital to getting the best performance from your flour.
Yeah, and people are controlling or manipulating their falling numbers when they add malt to their dough. Like any pizza maker who's doing that, they're controlling their fermentation or their sugar amount in their dough using the malt.
Because malt is from sprouted flour also, right?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
So in a sense, what you've got when you make your sprouted wheat, you're essentially malting the wheat naturally.
Correct. Yep.
And so you're going to have more enzyme activity because the maltose enzymes come out.
Yeah, the only step that we're skipping is the roasting of it. The roasting.
Then it's a whole different.
Yeah, it kills it, and we want this to be a living grain. Essentially like when you buy the grain or the living sprouted grain and it thaws out, it's alive. It'll start fermenting on its own, And
that's just from the natural yeast that it's carrying in its
Correct.
cell structure.
Exactly, yeah.
So I'm seeing now you're adding. I'm describing for our listeners. You're adding olive oil to the dough now. It looks like you're in the final stages of this mix.
Oh, we're coming to the tail end here.
So you've been developing the dough. It looks totally different than when we first started. It's coming together. It looks like it's like a pillow now.
It has that bundt cake look, right?
Bundt cake.
Yeah, the bundt cake.
It comes off the hook.
Yeah.
And the oil is being absorbed in. And why did you wait till the end to put the oil?
Because this one has. It's just so that the dough can absorb the fat a little bit easier. If you have too much fat at the beginning of the mix, it inhibits the development of the gluten and prolongs your mixing process even more. Right. But this is kind of in that sweet spot. It's 5% in this dough to grain weight.
Okay.
So I could put it in at the beginning.
Do you count the sprouted grain as part of the grain weight?
I do, yeah. I do,
so
yeah.
The total weight of the grain, 5% of that is how much oil goes in, which is pretty common in pizza doughs.
Yeah. You see like 2 to 8 is kind of this range that I see, and I like even numbers, or it's not even numbers, but like simple numbers. So
again,
5
as we talk about function, what function does the oil provide to the dough? Does it make it? What qualities does it give the dough?
It's the fat softens the dough a little bit, the bite, the chew. So if you're using a higher protein flour where you're trying to gain fermentation tolerance, if you want to shorten that bite a little bit, like the fat helps with that. For me, the main reason why I have it in this particular dough is for browning. Yeah. I want the color. I'm trying to get a certain color out of the dough at a certain temperature when I bake it.
And the oil helps with that?
The olive oil helps with that immensely. Like I've done side by side with this dough with and without olive oil, and it's like night and day different.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I suppose also I know it holds moisture in, so it keeps the dough maybe a little soft longer without oil.
True. Yeah, that definitely helps, and that helps more when you have
Can
more.
I touch that dough?
Of course. Yeah,
you stop the mixer. I see how soft it is. If I touch it without putting oil in my hand, I know it will stick to me. So I'm gonna water. Okay, good. Oh, yeah. So I'm feeling the dough, and it feels it's sticky. If I didn't have water on my hands, it would stick to my fingers. But I see as you're stretching a piece out to get a window pane effect, you got it stretched where you got a very thin membrane. You can see gluten. You can see threads of gluten weaving through there, and it's holding together. You think you've got it where you want it?
I want to go just a touch more. This is kind of an improved mix. I want to go just a touch more.
Okay.
Not much, but I want to get rid of a little bit of that stickiness.
Okay. And again, for bakers out there who geek out over terminology, so an improved mix is a method where you start slow and go to a higher speed, but it's not an intensive.
Not an intensive mix, yeah. So like when we're talking about the window pane, pulling the window pane, when you look through it, it's cloudy. It's kind of a cloudy sky. I like to refer to it as. And then when you pop your finger through the back side of that window, if the edges are smooth, and the sky is cloudy and the edges are smooth, that's like the sweet spot for me. That's like kind of an improved mix. But if that sky, you get rid of some of those clouds, it's a little less hazy in there. That'd be like an improved plus mix. And that's like for baguette dough, things like that. I shoot for.
You mean you would mix even longer?
A little bit longer, yeah. And we're gonna get a little touch closer to that.
And I know one of the properties of this dough, being as wet as it is and as soft and airy, that it's going to open up when you bake it, and you'll get these large cell structures what do you call the webbing of the dough?
Yes, yeah. Big holes, as people
big
call
holes.
it.
The large irregular holes is the way I
Yeah.
like to say it. But now you're testing it again.
Yep.
So now I see where the dough is holding its window
Yeah,
pane, but also it's tearing. So you're looking at the edge where it tears to see.
Yeah, so pull this out here, and so see, I got the kind of a cloudy window, right? Well,
This-
I'll hold it up.
It's
a little
translucent
cloudy.
but
Yeah.
cloudy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I pop my finger through it,
Yeah.
or there, you see that the edges are nice and smooth,
Yeah.
except for where the sprouted grain is. But like
that's what you want.
I want the
You want
nice
that
smooth
smooth.
edges. Yeah.
So you're
So
pretty much
I'm right there.
All right.
Yeah. So
Well,
we're gonna
you know
take
what-
this and go right into the tubs
You're
with
gonna
it.
put it in the tubs, and you know what? While you're doing that,
Yep.
I'll take this opportunity to talk to you, Ariel, and find out where she's at with the
All right.
pizza. And then tomorrow we'll come back to the booth and we'll taste the pizza with the mushrooms and all the other toppings that you're putting on it.
Hope it's gonna be good.
But of course, for me, it's always about the crust first,
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the things we share.
And there'll be plenty of
The
crust on
toppings
this
are like the
pizza.
bonus, but
Yeah.
and this is a unique topping, a unique crust that is not your typical pizzeria crust.
That's
But
great.
but for people who work with you or buy your flour or come to the Artisan Baking Center for classes that you offer there, you teach them how to do all these things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know how many people I've shown this dough to. You know, it's kind of an old standby for me.
But I love the fact that the pizza community is so generous about technique like that.
Yeah.
That you're, I mean, it's good for business too, but you share the knowledge, and I think that's
Yeah.
so important.
Because you can apply this to so many different things. It allows, for another pizzaiolo to take this or baker to take this and run with it and do their own thing on it.
Have you made bread with this same dough? Had you do like ciabatta type breads from this?
Yeah. You could do ciabatta with this, or you can stiffen it up just a little bit and do like a baguette shape or something like that. Yeah, it's super versatile. Do anything you want with it.
Well, I know when we bake at the Artisan Baking Center, when I come out there and do classes with you, we'll take a dough that's similar to that, and we'll just cut strips.
Yeah.
And just bake them, take them right to the oven without any rise.
Yeah.
And watch them just puff up in the oven.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
it's so
little mini
gorgeous.
baguettes.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good to munch on.
Love it.
Okay.
Well, I can't wait to taste this tomorrow. I'll come back and say goodbye, but I want to touch it with Ariel.
Okay.
Nicky, thanks so much.
You're very welcome, Peter.
For
Thank you.
letting us, sharing some of these techniques with us. And
My pleasure.
And I'll see you throughout the show.
Sounds good. Thank you, Peter. Bye.
Hey, Ariel. We just watched Nicky make his dough for tomorrow. Now we want to know what you're going to do with it when you got the dough. What are you going to put on it?
All right. So we have one with leek confit, spicy sausage, and arugula. That I'd say is our leek confit.
Leek confit.
Mhm.
Then it's like marinated in oil.
Yeah, cooked low and slow in oil.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
So that's probably our most normal pie
I've
that
had
we'll be
I've had that
doing.
one before. I've
Yeah.
had that before the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we love the leek confit.
Yeah, I love leek confit, and it sounds cool to say.
It does. So what we're trying for tomorrow, which we haven't done yet, is Japanese sweet potato pureed,
Wow.
shiitake mushrooms, and I like a sesame, green onion, cilantro sort of sauce.
Wow. So wait,
TBD on that one.
well, yeah, because you're going to be creating it right here at the show.
Yeah.
And you're going to find out with everybody else if it works. But what was the first part of that? It was a Japanese
Japanese sweet
What-
potato
how's that
puree.
different from an American sweet potato?
It's white and it's much less sweet.
That's sweet, so it's more starchy.
Yep.
So it sounds like it's somewhere between what we call a sweet potato and a regular
And
like russet potato or something.
Right, exactly.
So how do you prepare it? You just boil it? Or
Just boil it, mash it with olive oil.
would a potato like that bake
delicious.
up well? I mean, have you ever tried just use it as a bake?
It does. Steaming them is really delicious. Actually, that might even be easier. Now you're giving me ideas.
All right. But because it's not, so I like the fact that it's not as sweet as a sweet potato because I think
Yes.
that tends to work against some of the other flavors. So it gives you more neutral, canvas to work with.
Exactly.
Okay. So then they got the mushrooms and
And a cilantro, yeah, green onion, sesame
So it's
sauce.
going to be pretty.
It's gonna
speckles
be
of everything.
pretty.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can't wait. So we'll come back tomorrow because I know right now you guys are prepping for the grand opening is tomorrow. The show starts tomorrow. 10,000 people converging on this convention center, and they'll be coming down to this central milling booth, which is kind of tucked in the corner right near where all the competition's happening. You're right behind us here is I can see the area where the pizza competitions are going to be held. So there'll probably be a lot of noise. I'm glad we got to talk to you today because starting tomorrow the PA system is going to be all over the place and they won't be able to hear us.
Good point.
But I will come back for
Yeah,
tasting.
come back for that. And then we're also doing a cacio pepe pizza.
Cacio pepe. See, that's become the rage, hasn't it? Everybody's on cacio e pepe now.
So we'll see about that.
I love it though. You can't beat the combination of flavors.
Exactly.
So is it just simply you're just using like a Parmesan and Romano?
I'm gonna do a bechamel, with parm and pecorino, and we'll do some crispy pancetta on there.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe some smashed peas.
So now you're taking cacio e pepe on steroids.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Right. Fantastic. Well, it's great to see you always. And I haven't seen you in a while. This pandemic got in the way of. I haven't been to Pizza Expo I think I skipped 2 of them. Yep. So now I'm finally back. And the last time I saw you was in Petaluma at the Artisan Baking Center, where you and Nicky hold court.
Yes.
And so I'm looking forward to getting back out there again this year.
I hope so.
So anyway, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
And in your discovery process for 2 pizzas. So you got 2 that you're going to be doing tomorrow. Or more, I'm sure, probably.
Yes.
Before the thing's over.
Yeah.
Of course, tomorrow's just day 1, so I'm sure that on day 2 and 3 you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night with a new idea.
I hope not. I don't want to have to go buy more ingredients.
Well, that's true.
We'll see. I'm sure we can scrounge some up here.
Well, you know what happens? Like by day 3, a lot of the other booths, they start to wind down, and they go, "Can anybody use some of this?" And I've got some kale, and I've got this and that. So
I love that artichoke hearts. Bring me the artichoke hearts.
All right. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the chicken wing people here, so they're probably going to say, "Hey, somebody help us out here with the chicken wings."
Those guys.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Have a great show, and we'll talk throughout the next couple of days.
Sounds good. Thanks,
all right.
Peter.
So we're going to say goodbye to Nicky, and we'll call this a show today. I think we've got a lot of good information for everybody. Nicky, we're going to take off. We're going to let you get going and get your doughs. It looks like your doughs are already out of the mixer and into the tubs.
Yep.
So they're going to ferment right here on the floor at room temperature?
For about 45 minutes to an hour,
And then
and then go right into the cooler.
Okay, so it'll be long, slow, cold fermentation.
Yep.
And then tomorrow,
Tally
all
ho.
breaks loose.
Yeah,
All right,
tally ho.
man. All right, have a great show.
Thanks,
We'll
Peter.
see you soon. And again, thanks for all your support, not only of this show, but of Pizza Quest. And all I can say is looking forward to some good eating the next couple days.
Me too. Thank you very much, Peter.
And thank all of you for listening today. We've been with Nicky Giusto of Central Milling and Ariel Giusto, and the whole Central Milling team is behind us here getting ready. And we'll see you in the next episode of Pizza Quest.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Pizza Quest. A number of the conversations you will hear this season were recorded over a 2-day period during the 2023 International Pizza Expo held in Las Vegas, Nevada. These recordings would not have been possible without the help of many people and our generous underwriters, but I'd like to take a moment now to especially thank some of the unsung heroes. My Pizza Quest partners, Jeff Michael and Brad English, our HRN recording producer, Liam Werner, as well as HRN's Matt Patterson and Joanna Garnett-Reipold, and also Alexander Mortati of Orlando Foods, who organized and coordinated the schedules of many of our guests to get them to our recording table throughout the expo. Thank you to all of you. Pizza Quest is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.